Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for a Facebook Live interview. Please let us know in the comments where you're joining in from, and a special hello to anyone watching on the replay. Let us know you're there as well. I'm Stephanie Taliaferro, representing Hope for ATRT. Hope for ATRT is a research entity focused on directing research and resources to families in the fight against ATRT. As many of you know, September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, and we are highlighting families in the fight and the impact they're making in the cancer community. And so joining me today are Rachel, Krieger, and Max Horn, and they are the incredible parents to ATRT fighter Ollie and the founders of Ollie's Orchestra. So I'm so excited to hear from them today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having us, Stephanie. We've been, Hope for ATRT has helped us through a lot of moments, so we are really appreciative to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you, guys. Well, let's just start getting to know you and your family a little bit. If you want to just share a little bit about your family.
Sure. So I'm Rachel, Max, obviously. Ollie is our oldest of four brothers. So we have Ollie, Benji, Miles, and Levi, identical twins born just this last November. We've recently, by recently, I mean, since COVID, relocated from New York to Pennsylvania. So we're being treated out of CHOP. Ollie is treated out of CHOP at this moment. And we're, just grateful to be in a quiet, safe, it's been a crazy couple of years. Obviously, the pediatric oncology world is a bit of a whirlwind, obviously.
Yeah, and safe is of course always relative, but we're thankful that at least today we're in a position that we're trying to build a little bit of normalcy, and we're grateful for that opportunity, because up to now, since Ollie's diagnosis, which was April 2019, we really haven't had that at all. So we're seeing a little glimmer of it, and we're hoping it stays for a long time, but we're certainly enjoying it for the few days, at least, if not longer, that it lasts for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Enjoy every moment. And you were mentioning that Ollie was headed off to school. So what's he into right now? What's your schedule looking like those days?
So we started, and we realized the miracle that this is. We started Ollie off in preschool 5 days a week for 3 hours a morning. He goes with a nurse every day. He's 4. He turned 4 in July, and he's in with the 3s and 4s. And he is, I think he's a child that has spent over 200 plus nights inpatient, and he did, barely gives me a kiss goodbye when I drop him off in the morning. So it's beautiful. Honestly, it's a miracle. And we, like Max said, we're savoring it. We've seen quickly how things change, and we've been there a million times, and we hope and pray that it continues. But it's been a beautiful couple of days for us, which is amazing.
Yeah. So just to highlight on that, Ollie started on Thursday last week, and so he's today was day 4, and he just loves it. We also started our second Benji at the same time. They go to school together. Benji is 2 and is very much a 2-year-old. So Benji goes off to school like any kid who's been kept at home for COVID to keep their older brother safe, or just keep themselves safe, really. But thankfully we have 4 children that are all vaccinated now. So we made the decision that, we had kept them at home as long as we could, and the balance shifted to where school, it was kind of necessary for our family. It was a hard decision, but ultimately one that we came to together, that it was the right thing for our kids. And Ollie goes to school, and like Rachel said, he's pointing to the door, and he just wants to go in. He loves every second. Benji screams and cries and loves it, but it's a great contrast, and makes us so proud of our Ollie. So, and Benji too, but it's very special.
Oh, that is special. What other fun things is Ollie into right now?
Well, of course, music. Always music. he recently started therapeutic horseback riding to help build up core strength. He has obviously, like many children affected by pediatric cancer, lots of muscle tone issues, and vincristine, one of the cancers that's frequently used in the ATRT protocols, really caused a lot of neuropathies with him. So he started pediatric horseback riding and loves every second of it. He's also been doing a little aqua therapy. He just loves being at home with his brothers. He's he loves people. I think his one of Ollie's biggest, most beautiful things is that he lights up any room, and he loves being with people more than anything.
Yeah. And certainly the neuropathy is one of his symptoms, but Ollie doesn't walk, he doesn't talk, and he doesn't take food by mouth. So certainly, going to school especially was something very different than what we had necessarily thought was possible for him. But thankfully, he's been in the IU, and they've really helped guide us and push us to, push the boundaries on his educational abilities. And it's been a wonderful experience. So
that's awesome. That's encouraging to hear. You had mentioned back 2019. If you could just walk us through a brief timeline of Ollie's ATRT journey.
Sure. So from the age of 6 months until 9 months, Ollie sort of had been experiencing intermittent but pretty persistent vomiting. We, had at that point, we were living in New York City. He had been seen by a GI specialist. It sort of had gotten better for a period of time. And then in March 2019, sort of accelerated to where he was throwing up almost every day. What changed was for 3 mornings in a row, he had first morning vomit where he'd wake up and just immediately puke. I'm a nurse practitioner by training. And I just had a little, glimmer of memory that reminded me of something I learned in nursing school, intracranial pressure. We called the GI. They sent us immediately to NYU for an MRI, and that's where they found the tumor. That was April 11th, exactly Ollie's 9-month birthday. April 12th, he had tumor resection at the point of diagnosis, and still to this day, he had metastases throughout his brain and spine, as well as leptomeningeal disease. So while they were able to remove 100% of his initial tumor, the main tumor, he had started out with significant spread. At that point, our amazing oncologist at NYU, sort of said, we think that the, best, we're happy to talk with you further, but the best place we think for you, Dr. Susan Chi in Boston, is, an expert in ATRT or frequently treats, and maybe you want to go up. We spoke with her, and we're up the next day, and Ollie did his entire induction chemotherapy, up until we got to a point of being stable post-stem cell transplant in Boston. We did move back home to New York City in November of 2019. And Ollie was in treatment, getting a very aggressive, and, I'm always happy to talk with families about sort of what we did. I know every family is so different, but getting a very aggressive maintenance protocol. That sort of the goal was, we sort of always knew by the time stem cell ended, he still had visible disease, and still does to this day, has visible disease. So our hope was that it was dead, but Ollie has relapsed twice. He relapsed first in July of 2020, and then again on February 2021, at which point we were able to remove the second primary tumor. And then we went ahead and decided a few months before his 3rd birthday that we were going to do full brain and spine radiation. And, that's not quite the norm. Most wait until at least 3. We had decided that, for us, the cost outweighed the benefits. The benefits outweighed the cost of going ahead, and, knock on wood, Ollie has been stable since. He was on tazemetostat, another very common ATRT drug, up until a couple of months ago. He started showing signs of imbalances in his labs and things that were indicative that it was probably time to stop. And he does still receive intrathecal maintenance therapy every 2 weeks. And like I said, he is still in treatment. We did move down from New York to Philadelphia, where Max is from, back in, I guess, July of 2020 now. We kind of fled New York during COVID. It was a little crazy having a newborn and Ollie, trying to keep them both safe. So we did leave, and we're treated now under the care of Dr. Minturn at CHOP, and it's been a fantastic experience also, as was NYU when we were in New York for that period of time. So we've been at 3 children's hospitals since Ollie's diagnosis.
Wow. Wow. But it sounds like really fantastic physicians working to make sure that, you had the best treatment.
We do. We really have. We do. They're all very still interconnected with Ollie. We still consult with, our team in Boston. Dr. Minturn down here is fantastic, and they're a very collaborative team at CHOP. NYU was amazing. And Ollie, like I said, still does have visible disease, and we pray it's dead, and we watch it very closely. He is scanned every 6 weeks. We don't know what it is. And we're just, going along. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for going into those details and sharing and being open about those medications and things like that.
Oh, no.
I know you're definitely not out of the woods, but it's good to hear that he's stable right now. Being on this end of things, what advice would you give for a family who's newly diagnosed, perhaps something that now that would have been helpful to know at the beginning of this process?
I think I'll speak first, and then Max, I'm sure, has some other, I think it is, of course, a long haul, and like I said, I'm a clinician by training, and it is very different on the patient end. And I think, obviously, of course, so much parent advocacy is so important. I think I didn't necessarily understand that coming as, from a clinical perspective, that there is a lot of parent advocacy as part of being a parent to a child with cancer. And it's critical to, every minute of every day to advocate, whether it's not that, everybody's not doing their best, because our teams are amazing. Every, doctor, nurse practitioner, physician assistant, nurse, medical assistant, janitor, like everybody at these children's hospitals are honestly just all angels, technicians. They're amazing. But there is a lot of advocacy and things that parents have to be on top of and catching. And something that I guess, from a provider perspective, I didn't quite know or know to expect. And, Max and I do spend a lot of time doing that. And it's really important.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's 100% true. And definitely it's the thing that has remained constant throughout. Going back to the beginning and what someone said to us that really shaped our treatment approach is that Ollie is our guide, and we let him tell us what the right decision is and what he can handle. We, as a family, decided to treat very intensively, but we also are very careful about monitoring Ollie for signs of joy and making sure that his quality of life is maintained. The cost of treatment is very heavy. And, as I mentioned, he doesn't talk, he doesn't walk, and he doesn't eat by mouth. He has universal delays, but he's a very happy kid. And he started school last week, which we never expected. When we decided to do each of the major components of treatment along the way, it was very much put into our court, right? The physicians give you the best information that's available, but sadly in the ATRT world, the best information available oftentimes leaves each kid as an N1, right? We're all on the same journey, but at the same time, the symptoms or the reactions to these drugs are not common and are not statistically relevant to the point that there's information for a path to treat. And so navigating that is very, very hard. And that's been one of the biggest challenges is when do you make a decision to treat and when do you make the decision to change treatment?
Or decide not to.
Right, or decide not to.
Which we've been in the position a couple of times now as well to make those choices.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been told a few times along the way that, maybe treatment's not working. going back to the very, very beginning, Ollie was diagnosed at NYU and the pathology came back. They said, we're not necessarily place. Probably you should go to Dr. Chi. Initially treatment at Boston Children's was not, slowing the growth of his tumors. And we ultimately had to seek out, all the answers of the internet, research the world, and very much intensify and push the boundaries.
And collaborate closely with our clinicians and other clinicians to see what might work.
But it was ultimately a lot more treatment, and that made a difference. And it brought us a few months and got us to stem cell transplant, which was the goal at the time. And, along the way, we've had a number of times where it's been put in our court, and that's really, really hard. That's not an easy thing to deal with. And that's been a challenge for us. But one we faced together and with Ollie, of course. So,
like Max said, it was actually Dr. Philbin at Boston Children's, who's an amazing researcher clinician there, and she was the one who let Ollie. My advice to you would be to let Ollie lead the way. And Max is right. We watch Ollie. We do our best to let Ollie lead the way.
It's beautiful, and that's great that you're able to stay, so closely in tune with what he's doing and what they're advising. And it's like you said, it's constant. It's, and those decisions may change, like you said. And I know you kind of, coupling everything with those decisions are different for everyone. And so it does make the journey harder because there isn't a set path. But it is also good to know that what, may work or what your family is the best fit for is not necessarily, what's going to work for a different family, and to feel okay with that too.
Right. And of course, I think the important thing, and Stephanie, you're integral in this, is you make the decision for your family, and oftentimes you have to make that decision seemingly alone, but there's a community, and hope for ATRT and the other organizations and the other families that have made this fight a community effort, help provide the answers and help provide guidance as to what has worked for them. And so even though it seems like you're making the decision alone, we're also all making the decision alone together. And I think that's very important.
So we are very appreciative. We've checked your clinical, sites many times, and we are appreciative of what you guys have done and put together for families like us.
Thank you so much. So glad that there are resources out there now. A lot has changed even in the last 10 years, and we hope to keep catapulting that in the next 10. Max, any specific advice for any dads watching out there?
For the dads, I think that ironically, the community for us dads is maybe a little bit smaller, or maybe less visible on the surface. And I would just say that to the best of your ability, reach out, find the other dads, where they're available, where you can find someone to chat with. It's been really a lovely component of meeting some dads along the way that I can share experience with and just talk with, because there's a thousand things that are difficult and that make this very hard. But as isolating as being a cancer parent is, it also creates this incredible bond that cancer dads and cancer parents can share. We feel like family to each other, and we feel like we know each other, deep to the soul. So I would just say, make the leap and reach out, whether that's to me or to anyone else. You'll find that cancer dads and other folks out there in the community are very, very excited, if that's the right word, to hear from you and to talk, and everybody wants to listen. Everybody wants to share their story and connect. So I would say, don't feel alone, and just join the community where you're comfortable, and when the time is right for you. And it might not be day one, and I know it wasn't day one for me. It took months, but when I got there, it really did feel wonderful, and it felt very warm and comforting.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing so openly, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Ollie's Orchestra. In honor of Ollie, you guys started this awesome organization. Let's share just the inspiration behind this foundation and getting it on its feet.
Sure.
Yes. So Ollie's Orchestra. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So Ollie's Orchestra was something that Rachel and I thought of really at the beginning, when Ollie first started treatment. So when Ollie was diagnosed, he had his brain tumor resected, and those days are very dark and very hard and often a blur. But one of the very first things that we do remember is the music therapy and his experience with music. And right from the first time it was introduced to him, it changed him completely. Ollie loves music so much, and it really takes him out of the room he's in, out of the experience, out of the day, and it really is magic. There's so much power in music. From that, we ultimately had family musicians that reached out to their community and brought more and more music into our experience, into the days that we were, especially at Boston Children's. Ollie's Orchestra is our nonprofit that aims to pay it forward and to bring music to children with cancer, like our Ollie and like all of the fighters out there. So Ollie's Orchestra delivers music with the goal of it being permanent music, so primarily through music instruments and music education to children with cancer, free of cost and as easily as possible, meaning without straining the resources on hospitals or on families, right? It should be very accessible and very easy. So we use the knowledge and the experience that we have to bring music and instruments and as much joy to children as we can, and to also use it as a vehicle for advocacy, awareness, and ultimately to help also fundraise for research for less harsh and more effective treatments.
Yeah. So just to piggyback a little bit off of, what Max has said. So the first time Ollie woke up from his for initial brain surgery in April 2019, we introduced an ocean drum to him. And, it was the first time we had seen our child smile in what are some of the darkest days. And so this gift of music that we were given when we were in Boston Children's, we'd have musicians come in and play for him, give us instruments. So a lot of the instruments that are in Ollie's Orchestra's backpacks were actually chosen. Some of them were chosen by either the music therapists or professional musicians who said this ukulele the xylophone is actually like on tune. It's an actual, like, it looks like a kid's toy, but it's actually quite a well-tuned xylophone. And we were very lucky that we had dozens of musicians come in, introduce Ollie to these instruments, gift us these instruments. So Ollie could say in his hospital room when music left, when music therapy left, and play with them and engage in them and, engage in the sensory play, make him smile. We could like tap on the ocean drum and, have fun or relax him with the relaxing sounds. We felt really fortunate. We'd have kids, bundled up outside of our hospital room when a musician came in to play and do, watch it. And once though the music stopped, and music therapy is the greatest gift, and musicians are the greatest gift, we would be left with, thankfully the gifts that we had, but other kids didn't have the same instruments to play with. And music seems to be like the great equalizer. Ollie was diagnosed at 9 months old, and the fact that our 9-month-old could engage in and respond so beautifully to music, and the same goes for the 16-year-old down the hall. meant that, this should be ubiquitous, that children should have access to these, not toys, these instruments, so that they too can engage, and, feel whatever sense of peace, joy, happiness, anything to have moments built in, because it's just such a hard journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, well, what happened was ultimately we transitioned. We had some of our darkest days, and it really gave us this seed of idea. And over time, as we got further from Ollie's diagnosis date, we were able to formally file with help from a family lawyer for the nonprofit. We're a registered 501c3, and ultimately community fundraise and raise additional rounds of backpacks. So our backpacks are available on the website and mailed around the country, and we have partner hospitals in a few locations here at CHOP, St. Christopher's in Philadelphia, UCSF, and we're in talks with a number of other hospitals to have them stock backpacks, but we are mailing them all over the country. We're working also to make sure that in addition to the backpacks, we can provide as much music education, online resources to enhance the music therapy programs that are available at these hospitals. We had a beautiful request from someone at St. Jude's, where the television station actually has music therapy, but they had no instruments. Well, now if we're providing instruments, then they can play along to the music therapy that's on the TV. So I thought that was really a beautiful partnership with something that was already in the hospital, but was missing one crucial piece. So we were happy that we were able to complete that link. And then obviously our Ollie is not every kid with cancer. So we've been developing additional instruments, and our hope is one day any instrument under the entire sun would be available. And if you want to learn how to play it, we can provide the instrument, we can provide the education. So the first step is that we provide full-size guitars for teens, and for ages 16 to 21, we have access to our tricks for online lessons, free of charge and readily available at kids' fingertips. So they can learn to play guitar and take that home with them, God willing. So.
That's amazing. It just seems like the connections that you have made and put in place to make this possible are just so impressive. And the community rallying around you guys and these families, I mean, it's so encouraging. And to see instruments in kids' hands, I mean, that's beautiful in and of itself. So, but to really be pushing and not only providing the instruments, but trying to get those, actual education as well. I mean, it's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It's a labor of love. I mean, like Max said, paying it forward. Dozens of anyone from amateur to professional musicians play in Ollie's room. And, our logo is a monkey playing the cello. The monkey noise was the first sound that Ollie could make post-stem cell transplant. And the cello happens to be Ollie's favorite instrument.
I love that. I've got your logo here. I'll put it up too. I know it's on Max's shirt, but so everyone can see that logo and the website as well.
It was designed by Max's brother, who is an artist. And we've said, a monkey playing a cello. Ollie loves the cello. Ollie loves Bach. Bach is, and he's 9 months old and told us he liked Bach. He was very specific that.
Yeah, but not Mozart.
But not Mozart.
Yeah.
We know that now. Yeah. I didn't know the difference until Ollie, so now I do.
Oh, that is so precious. That is so precious. So watchers, if you guys have not checked out this website, please go check it out. Support where you can, get connected where you can. US ATRT families, if you have not gotten connected, please do that as well. I also have a slide here of the kit, the backpack, and some of the instruments that you guys sometimes send out. And I got to learn more about this ocean drum. Maybe we'll talk afterwards, because that just sounds so cool. I've never heard of that before.
They're magic, honestly. They're absolutely magic. I hadn't seen it either until Ollie was introduced to music therapy, and I couldn't believe how magical they are. So.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about a notion drum, just very quickly, is that it has a large number of metal beads inside. And so it's a drum, but also as it moves, it creates sounds like the waves. And in addition to making that sound, you can actually feel it with your fingers. So it's a very important instrument for children that have hearing loss, because you can also feel the vibrations of the music. So it's a really beautiful instrument.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely getting one of those.
They're amazing.
That other picture that I showed, that looks like maybe one of the first times that you made a drop off at a hospital. Is that right?
So, unfortunately, what occurred was in February 2021 during Ollie's second relapse, we were actually told that Ollie had also relapsed outside of his brain and spine into his liver, and that we had very little time left with Ollie. It was one of those horrible, moments, and by some miracle, his liver lesions ended up being benign. During that time, we decided to make Ollie's Orchestra a reality. We were building memories and working to make Ollie's Orchestra a reality. And we decided to use our Make a Wish to give a wish. And so we did all the paperwork with our family tax lawyer, and then Make a Wish put together the first round of 35 backpacks delivered directly to CHOP. So that is a photo of us delivering the Make a Wish, to give a wish, give a wish to make a wish.
It's a wish to give.
A wish to give to CHOP. And our backpacks do look a little different. The instruments are largely the same. Max has been amazing at curating sort of instruments. But
we have wonderful partners as well within the instrument community that have made it possible to drive down costs, but also to increase the catalog of what's available to us. Since everything is an instrument and not a toy, it has to come from a reliable supplier that is, an instrument manufacturer. So that's been very core to our mission.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Just wow, guys. Any upcoming projects to share or anything else for the families to connect with?
We're, Max has been hard at work with the guitar tricks, working on creating lesson plans. We have a couple of things that are coming that we're just not quite ready to announce, but they are coming. We will be posting on our Instagram page. But we are working on curriculums for all ages. We know right now 16 to 21 is the free, the free music guitar lessons, but we are working on curriculum. And one other thing I wanted to say that we sort of touched upon in the beginning, but part of our mission also is, advocacy, bring awareness to pediatric cancer. This is real. We, like everybody in pediatric cancer says, we were not an oncology family until we were, and it's real. And also to donate to part of our proceeds go to the Team Beans Fund at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. We feel that their mission aligns very much with ours, of course, which is to sort of work on getting funds to rare cancers. So about 10% of our donations go to rare pediatric brain tumor, infant brain tumor research at Dana-Farber. But in terms of upcoming, we have some exciting stuff that we've been working on, and we will absolutely announce it soon. We're just not quite ready to.
That's okay. That's okay.
With love for families, anyone who is seeing this, anyone who thinks that they know somebody, we want everybody. We have had an amazing response from the community, and we would love to get instruments out to every child who wants them. Inpatient, outpatient, it's not just for inpatient. It's for children who have cancer who are, from age 0 to 21. We would like to get music to you in some way. So please go onto our website, email us, sign up, do whatever, and reach out to us with any and all questions and comments.
That's awesome. Thank you guys again so much for taking time today to share with us. We're so appreciative of what you guys are doing in the community. I mean, this is just so inspiring, so encouraging to use your Make a Wish to give a wish. I mean, it's all the feels. It's wonderful. So thank you again. Thank you all for watching. We have another interview next week with Amy Marzin from Madeline's Mission. So if you guys want to tune in next week, we'll be promoting that as well. And one more quick shout out for our Worth the Fight t-shirts. The sale ends on Sunday, so be sure to grab your shirts by then if you want one.
And thank you guys. Honestly, like I said, you guys have been such an amazing resource for us for so long. And so we are so appreciative to you guys. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you guys for your encouraging words. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next interview. Bye.